Hi, good day to each and every one of you. I am so delighted that we're coming to you once again with our Global Chamber Author Series. And this is an intricate part of Global Chamber. And what we do is we come here to engage authors, aspiring authors, because we are a vibrant community of writers worldwide. And this is where we come to connect, share our experiences, share our diverse collaborations, questions that you may have, and to inspire. And how do we do that? We do that three ways: through books, through workshops, and through panels, because we have different authors on every other month, and we have a workshop every other month, and also through leadership initiatives. So if you're not already a part of our WhatsApp Global Chamber Forum for authors, please join. You can just look for Global Chamber authors, and you can ask to be invited if you're not already invited, or we can extend that invitation to you. So do that. And when do we meet? The third Wednesday of the month. You can count on it. What we have been doing is meeting at 11 a.m. this year. Last year, we tried out 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. so that we could also capture some of our colleagues that are from Africa, Europe, and Asia, where they can come on live as well, rather than waking up at midnight and so forth. And I think Jim's on that schedule, so I think she'll appreciate that. Next month of July, we will be doing 8 p.m., which is nice, even if you're in our time zone in North America. 8 p.m. is kind of winding down if you're on the East Coast, and you still got some hours, daylight hours for you if you're in the Midwest and West Coast. All right. So this is who Global Chamber is. This is who I am. I'm a connector. If you just said, give me one word that sums up you, Dana, I am a connector. I love connecting people, as does Michael Quigley. And we had the good fortune of connecting last week. We'll be making some further connections and collaborations. I show up as a registered nurse, as an author, as a writer's coach, and also the executive director for Global Chamber Atlanta. This is one of my most recent books released. I'm happy to talk about it if you have questions about writing, because it really helps on that journey. But we're here for information, inspiration, and leadership. And I would be remiss if I don't mention the wonderful opportunities that you have from being a member of Global Chamber. Some of you may be hearing about Global Chamber for the very first time, or you may have been on one of our other Globinars and not really taken advantage of being a part of the tribe. So when you're a part of the Global Chamber tribe, you realize that mission that we embrace also expands to that you can incorporate it. So because we accelerate cross-border trade and investment in every region of the world by engaging executives like yourselves and leaders, we do that with warm and soft connections. And our vision is a business where it's easy as growing your business and doing business globally, just like it is across the street. Where are we? We are growing in 525 metros. We are in 5 continents, 195 countries. That's more than a footprint. Now, where's our headquarters? We are located in Phoenix, Arizona, and the headquarters of Thunderbird School of Global Management. That in itself, the presence and the collaborations that we have there are just very unique, and it allows us to have a greater reach. And because of our presence and collaboration with Thunderbird, their 30 locations is also now added to our expansive connection. So why are we here today? Well, today we are here because I am going to do a workshop on Beyond the Block, a writer's breakthrough workshop. So if you're looking for a breakthrough today and you are ready, just type the number 1 in the chat. If you're looking for a breakthrough, and you may even be a part of that solution, type the number 1 in the chat. Yes, I am typing too. Always, yes. Well, then you're in the right place. You're in the right place, Michael, because we're going to talk about writer's block. And so feel free to unmute yourself, or I'll be looking in the chat room as well. In order to have writer's block, you first of all have to be a writer. And we've been writing for years. A lot of times we might not recognize that. But if you've gone through the academic setting, which we have, and if you've taught, which some of us online have, then you have experienced writer's block. Am I right? I'd just like to know what did it look like for you? And even you recently, Charles, writer's block. What did it look like for either of you online that you care to share? And you might be writing a jingle, you might be writing a paper, you might be writing a book, you might be writing a song, you might be writing your dissertation, whatever it is. What did that look like when you experienced writer's block?
Go on, Charles. I want to hear from you.
I think,
His is recent.
yeah, so I have to say I've been very fortunate in that I've been setting a discipline of waking up around 4:30, 5, and I look forward to my quiet time, and I get to the book. And one thing I discovered very early on is writing a book is really less about getting it right when the thoughts come out of your head and more about getting something out and then editing and reworking and rewriting. So I'd say most of the work that I do that deals with writer's block is recognizing that I'm going to just rewrite as opposed to write.
Absolutely. And what about you're setting a routine? We're going to get into that discussion a little bit further. So thank you for even bringing that up. But what about when you experience some blockage? What did you do to move through it? Or what did it look like? Even doing with your routine, because that's one way for a breakthrough. But what's, even early in the morning, 4 o'clock? I don't know
Right.
if you have to have.
What does it look like? I think writer's block. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So I think for me, writer's block is starting it up, right? It's like I got other things to do. I have something more urgent, and I think and I do this with other things too, because I think a book is just another dimension of procrastination, right? Like writer's block is procrastination. So in dealing with the writer's block, so what that looks like is dealing with the urgent, letting urgent overwhelm so the tactical overwhelms the strategic. I know writing a book is going to position me as a thought leader. It's going to motivate a lot of follow-on pieces of thought leadership. And if I don't get it done, then I'm postponing that future. So that to me is why I push through it. But
Okay.
yeah, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. What I like to do is just share some numbers with you, sheer numbers, because when we think about writer's block, we all experience it, number one. But when you look at it in terms of stats, over 70% of writers report writer's block at some point in their careers. And I would even venture to say just in their lifetime, whether you were writing your first paper in the fifth grade, I don't know, or writing something for your corporation because we have to do marketing and you have to write things, or writing books in this case that we're talking about. Over 70% of people have expressed writer's block. This is from Writer's Digest. And over 50% of students, if we're looking at the academic setting, experience moderate to severe writer's block, where it keeps you from going forward to achieve your goal. That's what writer's block is. You set a goal to write this particular article, newspaper, book, jingle, and for some reason you're paralyzed from going forward. That's what writer's block is. And so over 50% of students in the academic setting has not only had moderate writer's block, but severe writer's block. They're paralyzed and not sure what to do. And then looking at a survey of 2,000 writers, 63% reported that their writer's block was connected to self-doubt and the others to perfectionism. So we can speak on that, and I'll give you an opportunity to comment, Terry, and also Michael and others that are on, but feel free to utilize the chat room just for the sake of time. I want to make sure we cover everything because we're talking about a breakthrough, so we got to get it all in. So self-doubt, procrastination, perfectionism, all of that lends itself to blocking us from going forward. And then a NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writers Month. I've been a part of that group, I don't know, maybe 18 years now. So National Novel Writers Month, they refer to it as NaNoWriMo, and I'll share my screen again so you can see it. So the National Novel Writers Month poll found that time management and fear of failure were some of the top two causes of blocks for most 60% of the participants. And so in my coaching, we explore what keeps you from writing, number one, period, not just the block. And fear comes up as one of the highest ones, self-doubt, and whether somebody else would want to read that. But I don't want to get stuck on that piece, but just know we have to be aware so that we can move through. And then psychological studies suggest that writer's block is more common among writers with high creative standards and a low tolerance for frustration. I want to know how many people has a high creative standard in this room and a low tolerance for frustration. I do. I want things to be right. I want it to connect. I want it to have meaning. And I have a low tolerance for frustration of not getting it done. So that can move you forward, though, or it can even paralyze you. And I wanted to share our stats from our Transformational Writers Academy. So about 65 to 70% of our aspiring authors in the Transformational Writers Academy have experienced writer's block. And that's before that they were introduced to our Austin Ikigai method, which helps them move through. So I want to pause just for a second. So if anybody else wanted to add any comments about their experience in writer's block, feel free to do that. And I will check the chat as well. Keep an eye on that. All right, so there you are. There's the numbers. So writer's block is real. And I was sharing with you that with our academy, we apply our Austin Ikigai method. So here are some of the things that I want us to engage in further about the breakthroughs to writer's block. Stephen Covey, quote, start with the end in mind. He's written several books, seven, I'm confusing it with my writer's book, but it's called the seven. Can you also someone help me with the Stephen Covey book? It just escaped me just for a second.
7 Habits of
Hi,
Highly
Melissa.
Effective People.
Yes, highly effective people. And then he has the eighth guide, right? So I love that quote. I often apply it for dessert. Start with the end in mind. Why not, right? Get it off your plate so whatever you have left, you can take home. But in this sense, when you're writing, start with the end in mind. What is your intention? What's your goal? Who's your audience? What do you want to achieve? And by when? Keep that at the forefront. That'll help you move through writer's block when you're very clear on your why. Welcome, Marissa. And incorporate the Austin Ikigai method. I'm going to share that with you. That's what we use at our Writers Academy. Create a writing routine. Charles was sharing with us his writing routine, and we'll go through that a little bit more. And then have the 7 components of trust. Incorporate that in your practice, in your being, and implement positive intelligent techniques, which includes visualization, and see yourself successfully writing, flowing, doing. Use artificial intelligence engines, ChatGPT. We have a writer's platform, Blooxy, and there's so many others, but I'll show you how to use it with writing so we don't venture into the plagiarism space. Then write on. All right, we have several authors on the we've got multiple authors here today. Some are members of Global Chamber, some are visiting with us. So this is a space where we engage, where we have an exchange. Use the chat, please do that, or unmute yourself and raise your hand because we want your feedback, especially as it pertains to writer's block. So I'm going to open this discussion before we go into those breakthroughs. Melissa, Marissa, Terry, Michael, would you like to share 60 seconds or, what your writer's block looked through and how did you navigate through that? No pressure. I just want to open the invitation.
I will. So I'll try and do it in 60 seconds. So like Charles, I've made a habit of writing every day. So I'm into the habit of writing. The thing that really helped me was separating rough draft from edit. So I don't edit as I go, like just get it out, get it out. Variety of time methods. So setting a timer 20 minutes, timer goes off and it's not working, stop, do something else. If you're in the flow when the timer goes off, keep going. That really helps. And if you find yourself getting into kind of the self-doubt thing, I just distract myself with something else, because when you've written that long, you start to realize, like, I'm going to write something. For me, the biggest thing with writer's block is the frustration of knowing I want to do it, but you can't do it today. You have to pace yourself. So there's kind of a lot there. So I'm writing my third book at the moment, and I know I won't get it written today. And you have to kind of be okay with that. I think sometimes we can be very, very impatient as writers, and we have to say, like, I will get this done. It's just a matter of time. So I hope that helps.
I love it. I mean, that is it. I mean, we could almost, say amen, because you really summed it up right there. There's a few other things we will add. Anybody else care to share any comments about your experience with writer's block and how you've overcome that or how you navigate it? Okay. Well, great. Anytime, I'll be checking the chat room, and then just raise your hand if you've got a comment or a question, and we'll move through that. So we've looked at the numbers, the stats, what percentage of people experience writer's block in the academic setting, writing books. In our Transformation Writers Academy, from a psychological standpoint, creatives are more to be stuck because we strive for perfection. We don't want to be frustrated with the process. We just want to flow. And with the National Novel Writers Month, as I said, I've been a part of that for about 14 years, about 60%. So if we had to take an average, 65% of the population experience writer's block. And so that can keep you from delivering on what you set out to do, which is your book in this case. So there's 5 W's and 1 H. And I should have asked you this. So when you start with the end in mind, you have to consider the 5 W's. So somebody wants to read the first one, and we'll alternate just to kind of move through for engagement. What's the first W?
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'll take it.
Thank you, Marissa.
Who is driving the story? Who is it about, and who is affected?
Oh, yes. And I know Marissa and her siblings wrote a book and just released it a few months ago. And I'm sure you had to ask that question, especially since you were writing from different parts of the world, to keep it on track. Who's driving this story? Who is it about, and who is it affected? Who's affected by it? Always ask that question. Who's got the what? The other W, the what? Okay, I'll take it. So the what is what has happened. What are the consequences of what has happened? So if this individual does this, how does it impact? What impact does it have or consequence? So you ask that. And the same with the where. Where is this taking place? Because when you're writing, you've got to create a tangible, palpable, get all the senses involved. Where is it taking place? Is it a building? Is the city or the country? What sounds are you hearing? Where should readers go to learn more? They want to be drawn in. So where is it taking place? And there's one book, one of my favorite books, and it's an older book. It's called The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. If you never read it, for me, I would recommend it because she writes that you are right there in the Middle East in the heat, in the hustle bustle and the hotness of the tent with the women. I felt like I was there. And then the when did it happen? What time of day? What was going on in society? What was going on socially, politically? The month, the year, the season, and when was the last update? So when you're answering these questions, it allows you to write and to flow. Why? Why did this event take place? Why did this take place? And then it kind of takes you back into the what, the consequences. And why is this important? What's the big picture? And then the how. How is the event unfolding? That are you writing from a chronological standpoint, or are you doing it from a flashback? Are you starting at the end and then working your way forward? If we answer these 5 W's and keep that before us and the H, it helps you move in your writing, even if you get stuck. So remember the 5 W's and the 1 H. And what I would like to put as a big why are you writing the book? Why are you writing? If you keep that at the forefront, then this would allow you to move and to flow. And then who are you writing it for? So we've got who's driving the story, but who are you writing it for? Who's your audience? And what are they going to want to get out of it? So if you do that, keep these 5 W's and the H in mind, that'll help you to move through. Now, I mentioned to you the Austin Ikigai method that we utilize in our Transformational Writers Academy. So this method is something that I put together, but it embraces our family in terms of remembering the strength that you have within yourself. And it represents rising up out of the ashes. And it could be the ashes of writer's block and soaring like a phoenix into your purpose on purpose. And the Ikigai is a Japanese word for purpose, but it's so much more expansive than the American word purpose, because they take in consideration your passion, your mission, your profession, your vocation. So you can see the passion and the mission overlaps. What do you love, right? What do you love? And the mission and the vocation, what does the world need? You're answering these questions. And then the profession and vocation, what you can get paid for. If you combine your profession and vocation, what you can get paid for. And then passion and profession, what are you good at? That's the summation of what Ikigai, the Japanese word for purpose, but it's a little bit more extensive. And what I'd like for you to do is consider embracing this when you're writing. So Ikigai, you discover your purpose in life. You determine the reason you wake up each morning. You choose something that aligns with your strengths, your passion, and the needs of the world. And that's what gives you meaning. And you move in that. That's your reason for being, the thing that gets you up in the morning. And don't say it's the alarm clock. That may wake you up, but what gets you up is the Ikigai. So the Shikita Ganai, it means when you're writing even, let go of the things that you cannot change. Recognize that there are some things that are just out of your control. And that's okay. But you're going to let go and focus on what you can change. We know that many of us as Christian believers, as the Serenity Prayer, right? You've heard of that. But it also has its origins in Japan. And then the wabi-sabi. This is, again, a part of the Ikigai. And you're learning Japanese today. I know that wasn't on your list, but the breakthrough is being open to something new that can move you from where you are to where you want to be. So the wabi-sabi is where you find peace with imperfection. And Michael Quigley just commented a few moments ago about working through his breakthroughs. He realizes that he's going to write and not really try to edit. And this is how I coach as well. Write and flow, no editing as you go. Find peace in the imperfection and recognize that nothing in life is perfect, including yourself and your others. But it's going to be the best that it can be, right? So instead of striving for flawlessness, find joy in the imperfections. Makes life unique. That makes your writing style unique. Embrace it because it will be uniquely your voice. And the gaman, part of the Ikigai, is preserve your dignity during tough times. So, when you're getting down to crunch time, if you're working with an editor on the timeline, if you're working with an agent, when you're getting down to crunch time and you realize you've got less time than you do words, you still want to keep your dignity intact. Show emotional maturity, self-control, even when faced with challenges. And remember, most importantly, to be patient and resilient and understanding. But be patient with yourself. because you're going to get there. And the obituary, this is one thing I think that many of us struggle with, is that you might look at somebody ahead of you. Charles just completed his manuscript, he said 2 weeks ago on the line. I just released a book 3 weeks ago. Marissa and her siblings did a book about 2 months ago. And if you start looking and comparing, then what we do is that we don't recognize the genius and the greatness in ourselves. So don't compare yourself to others. Everybody has a different timeline and a unique path. What's going on in your life is uniquely different from my life. So we won't compare. It's important to focus on your own progress rather than trying to measure yourself against others. The obituary. And then the other two is the Kaizen. Always seek to improve in all areas of your life. If I ask you guys to give me a number, which I will, a number 3, if you have improved in any areas of your life this year, type the number 3 in the chat. And if you haven't, at least you might not recognize, I'm going to remind you that you have. Promise you have. If you learned something new, a new skill, if you're updating your resume, if you're revamping your business, as I know Melissa is, if you are taking a new language, if you're learning how to perfect Chat GPT and Journey and so many, and Blooxy, you are learning something new to improve yourself. Yes, I see the numbers going up. So just applaud yourself for that. Embrace that Kaizen, because you're always looking to improve in all areas of your life. Even the small changes, they all add up and make a big impact over time. And then the one thing, the last part of the Ikigai, and then we're spending a little time on this, but it's important that you embrace and understand your purpose, even in writing. And as you embrace this concept of the Austin Ikigai method, then you give yourself the grace and the space that you need to move through at a good pace. The Shuhari, it's when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But when the student is truly ready, the teacher will disappear. I love that piece of it because you get the tools that you need, the resources that you need, and you take them and you go on and implement them. And at some point, you too become the sensei, the teacher, the coach, the writer, the expert. Absolutely. I want to pause for comments, questions before we go into the other component of a writing routine. How did that Austin Ikigai method feel? Is it something new? Have you heard anything like that before? Thank you, Michael. He likes the model. I see your comments here. Yes, and all of you have learned something new because we're always seeking to improve and to be better. And so with that said, I want to continue. We're going to continue with our slides. All righty. So someone said, I have a writing routine. That was Charles, and I think he had to take another call. He has a writing routine. He gets up at 4 a.m. and he writes. And he said that has cut down on his writer's block. So creating a writing routine, you want to set a time and stick to the time. I say put yourself on your own calendar. That's the last thing on this part of the slide. Set a time, stick to it. I had started getting up. I'm an early riser anyway, but I started writing at 5 a.m. Okay, because it's quiet. No one's calling. No one needs anything. And it's my quiet, meditative, creative time. And even if I wrote for 1 Pomodoro, and we'll talk about that time frame, I'd get more done than if I had 2 hours. And then we want to think about a space and a place that inspires you, a space in your home, or if you're at work, if there's a space that inspires you, or a place, because you'll have a routine place in which you write. And if you don't have one, can I encourage you to create that space and to guard that space so it's just for creativity and it's not for anything traumatic, like having to sit and write out your bills, right? If you have to do that, don't share those spaces because we want this to be just for creativity. And some people light a candle, some people put on music, whatever it is, make it your creative space. And then utilize tools. I'd like to hear from you all. What tools do you utilize for writing? Put it in the chat. Okay. What tools do you utilize for writing? You implement that. And I'm going to just hold this up. Okay. So I like paper and pen, but I type, right? Because I also use a platform that's a part of our academy. It's called Blooxy, strictly for writing. And it's for the academic side. It's for short stories. It's for poems. It's for books. It's for K through 12. It has a wonderful program, and I'll share that link with you all before we're gone, so you can take a look at how we have an affiliate link. But it's a game changer. And the other thing is to be consistent. So Charles says he gets up at 4. Mine is a 5. And choose the days. You may say, I want to write every day, or I want to write 3 days. But whatever it is, be consistent with it, because you owe it to yourself. Yeah. You owe it to yourself to do that, because I promise you something. If you don't make you a priority, nobody else will. If you do not make yourself a priority and you're writing, no one else is going to. You might have an accountability buddy that says, hey, what's going on? Are you doing anything? But you have to really set that and guard that time for yourself. And Michael says, I just use Notes app on his iPhone. Then when I edit, I do that on my laptop. I use a timer to set time periods, and I like write in silence, quiet, basic, really. Okay, and it works for you, Michael, which is beautiful. So you have to find out what works for you, and you stick to it, and you're consistent. And he has a tool that works for him. And then I write in silence at times, but I also write with instrumental music in my background. I like that. I might think of the words to the song, but I'm not necessarily always singing along, because there's not a singer. But I like that background noise. Or I will also use an app that gives me the cafe noise in the background. So I just hear the cappuccino machine and light chatter and steam coming out. And I like that space because I feel like I've traveled. But I do, the method that I use and that we implement at our academy is called the Pomodoro method. It's a wonderful method for time management. You set your timer for 25 minutes, and you write. I mean, you are writing intensely and fiercely. And when I'm coaching my authorpreneurs, when the 25 minutes is up, they're like, oh man, I was on a roll. I was in the groove. They hate to stop. But the beautiful part about the Pomodoro method is that you stop for 5 minutes, get up, change your setting, get something to drink, have a bio break, whatever you need to do, but come back in 5 minutes, set the timer again, and you can write again. You can do up to 4 of those consecutively with the 5-minute break and then a 15-minute break. But if you only have time for one in the morning or in the midday, whatever your time is, set your timer, 25 minutes, and go for it. Yes, so I'd like your routine. Anybody else has any comments or questions about this right here? Okay, I want to be mindful of our time. We're doing good. All right, let's check out the next slide. Any comments or questions? Okey-doke.
Dana, are we supposed to be seeing a new slide? Because it says the create a writing routine. Is that the slide we're supposed to see?
Yeah, it's not advancing. So I'm going to go here and do it manually. Are you able to see it advance now?
Yeah, trust in your story. Yeah.
Thank you. I may just have to stick here. I won't be able to see the comments right now. So just let me know if you have a comment or question. So trust is another factor. You got to trust in your story, because if you have been called and you have this desire and or even this longing, or somebody else says, hey, you have a book in you, or you have a story to tell, trust in your story. So trust yourself. Number one, you have been entrusted with this story only to tell as only you can tell. Trust yourself. Trust in your story. Know that you may say, I'm not even sure how to start it, but trust that story will unfold as you give it what it needs. Setting a time and a routine and a place, being disciplined in your writing, and make sure you're not distracted. So when you're setting your time and your routine, I didn't mention, eliminate all distractions. So I turn off my phone. I have music for me in the background when I want it, but I'm not listening to the news. I'm not entertaining anybody. I'm not cooking. Sometimes I know many of us women, we multitask. It's like, I'll have some soup on while I'm doing this and a load of laundry. No, I just do that at that time. I give that my full attention because I don't want to hear a buzzer that says, get up and close the dryer or something. So trust in your story and that you can only tell this story. No one else can. Trust your wisdom and your experience. This year alone, you have added so much knowledge and new information. Even by being here on our Globinar, you're adding new information, you're increasing your knowledge and your wisdom, and in your areas of expertise for your work and your businesses, you continue to grow. So trust that. Trust your wisdom, trust your experience. And even in your research for your book, you're going to be learning more information. Trust that the words that you need are already there. They're inside of you. And when you read more, you write more. So read more. Read more because it expands your writing style, it expands your vocabulary, and then trust that the words that are already there. I don't know if you've had this experience, but sometimes I'm writing and then a whole phrase would pop up. I'm going, well, where did that come from? Something I read, and I even may have to look it up just to be sure that it fits. And I go, wow, it does fit. So trust that your words are already there. Trust that your story exists, and it does because people will say, you should write a book about that. Oh, I wish there was something on that. And Maya Angelou, who's been a muse of mine for many years, and she goes, if you're looking for a book that doesn't exist, write it. So trust that your story exists within inside of you and is waiting to elucidate and for you to illuminate and to let it go. Trust the process, the writing process. You're going to create your routine, right? And then trust the process. And in that, I would say engage with Global Chamber's author series, engage with forums, writers group, our academy, engage with others. So that process, you can even learn from others' processes. And then trust your coach. If you have a writer's coach, trust that that coach can move you from where you are to you want to be. And if it's a great writer's coach, they're going to really just pull out, elucidate what's in you that we can't tell you how to write. We're going to coach you in the process. All right. So those are the 7. Trust. And then positive intelligence. So a few years ago, our CEO, Doug Brunke, and he may be on, and Cesar Trabanco, our vice president, they introduced us with Connie as well to positive intelligence. And this is a whole process to really shift your mindset because we show up naturally without an invitation. The saboteur shows up, which says, I don't know where to start. I'm not a writer. I don't know who's going to read this. That saboteur does not have to be invited. But what has to be invited is that shift to the positive intelligence is that I am a writer. I am learning and growing every day. I am making a commitment to my schedule. I am a best-selling writer. These are affirmations, but they also have visualization and tactile techniques to help move you through. So implement positive intelligence. And Shahaz is the founder of this. I think he's in San Francisco. So wonderful. So I incorporated that in my daily life, but I also incorporated it in my coaching and also in my work as a healthcare provider. Anybody has any experience with positive intelligence that you care to comment or even a question? I know Doug, our CEO, when he shares his stories about it, and even if he might not be implementing it, let's say for that week, he'll tell you the impact from not utilizing, and then he shifts, kind of gets back in line. And for me, I just can't survive if I don't say I'm going to affirm and visualize where I want to be and then speak the life over that and then take the necessary steps. So I can't see your hands in the chat right now. So if you got a comment, just unmute yourself, please. All right. Now, I do have a question. Artificial intelligence. Do you all utilize it? And if so, which one and how? You did it for a year. Yes, I see, Michael. It made a difference, didn't it? The positive intelligence. So, do you use artificial intelligence? If so, which and how? Anyone?
Yeah, I do, Dana.
Uh-huh. Tell us
Yeah.
about it, please.
Yeah, so I use ChatGPT. I also tried Perplexity as well, because what I liked about Perplexity was when you put in a question or a comment or something, it suggests further things. Um, I'll tell you a funny story. I tried using it for one of my blogs and it failed spectacularly. So what I
Oh
did
my.
was I took a video of one of my videos and got a transcript from the video. So I used it to create a transcript. And then I said to it, right, this is all my IP. These are my words. Turn this into a blog, just to see what it would do. And it was terrible. It was boring. It would look like anybody had written it. It had none of my style.
Oh,
I literally binned the entire thing and said, right. And I sat in silence for 2 hours from scratch and wrote the blog. And the two were like fundamentally completely different. So that was a complete epic fail. But it
oh
taught
my.
me what not to do because I just thought, I'll just see how this works. And I wouldn't do that again, definitely.
What a valuable lesson, right?
Very valuable.
Because when we write, you want to write in your voice. You want to write in your style. You can say, "Oh, I've read these books, the Melissa Kelsey books. She's got books out, and this is her signature. This is her style." And if she came up with another one and it was completely off, you're like, something happened. Unless, excuse me, you have two styles of writing. Because there's one author, James Patterson, whom I absolutely love his writing, but I only like one style of his writing. I like the ones at the beach and the summer romance and the this and the that. Not the he's known for his murders and mysteries, but I like the other style. He's got one summers with can't think of the title right now, but I like that. So you can have two styles of writing, but it's him that's writing it. I think he might have some collaborators with him as well. So Melissa, you use ChatGPT and it helps you with outlining, strategizing, and research. Yes. And the reason I get excited about that, whichever platform you use, because you don't want it to write it for you, but for outlining, strategizing, and research. But it's very helpful when you use these platforms when you get stuck. And so I use ChatGPT. We utilize Blooxy for our writing, and Blooxy has an AI built in. It's called Neva. It's built in Blooxy. And with that, if you get stuck, you can say, you can ask it a question and give it some keywords, and it'll spit out information that really is great at triggering, oh, I can pick up here and just start writing because it's giving you different ideas, different concepts to build on, or even to research further, as you mentioned, Melissa, and to flush it out. So yes, this is how we encourage the use of artificial intelligence for writing, for mainly strategizing ideas, research, outlining, but keep your writing voice. Just use it to give you some suggestions. Good point. Awesome. Okay, let me go through these final points here with us. Oh, here we go. This sounds so simple. Just write on. I've had a few writing coaches in my lifetime as well, and one of them, he says, even if you just write one ugly page a day, write, okay? Because it counts. It counts. You might set out, I don't know if you have a word count that you set out, or if you just set a time frame, the Pomodoro, 25 minutes at the minimum, but just write something because you're going to keep that rhythm going and you're going to keep the consistency. And what that does is when self-doubt rises up, you're going to say, I'm writing anyway. When procrastination tries to show its ugly head, you're going to say, nope, I'm writing anyway, even if it's 2 sentences that day. Write something. Show the progress that you're making. And even when the uncertainty of what you're going to write about, you might put down a few bullets. Put down a few bullet points, and you can say, I'll come back and elaborate on this later, or I'll do my research. I'll check with ChatGPT, or I'll check with Journey, or I'll check with Blooxy, and I'm going to expound on it later, but I'll at least put my bullet points so that I have that. Yes. So write on anyway. Now we're going to open the line for comments, for questions, because this, as I say, you guys have been doing an incredible job sharing your experiences, asking questions, but I want to know that what you gained today, is this something that can help you move through as a breakthrough when writer's block shows its ugly face, as it will between 65% of the people from the stats that we know? Any comments or questions? And so just unmute yourself. Oh, the other thing for writer's block, multitasking, that will keep you from moving forward too. So when you're writing, just write. Leave everything else alone, because then you'll be focused. And this is Marissa. You use Otter AI for transcribing voice memos and pay a yearly subscription to no longer have time frames. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I
See?
think it's like $99 a year. But do be careful. My boyfriend was doing a project interviewing his dad ahead of his 80th birthday, and I added him as an Otter AI team member, and it charged me another $99 that was non-refundable.
No.
Yeah, so it can be
No.
expensive if you just start, adding a research assistant or different people. But I missed something earlier. I am multitasking some at work here in Denver.
Yes, I understand.
What was the tool that one of you uses, Blooxy or Nava?
It's I'll have Michael type his in, because Michael mentioned I think it was Perplexity, and then I'm going to share the link for Blooxy, and it's Blooksy.
Okay.
It's a platform that we use for our authorpreneurs at the Academy. So it's like we exclusively use that. And if I had time, I would demonstrate it. I don't know if I do. I'm going to try though. Okay. I'm going to see if I can share. Okay. And Michael, could you speak to that AI that you use other than ChatGPT, please?
Yeah, I've put it in the chat. It's Perplexity. It's like Google Scholar as opposed to Google.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you. Let's see. And here's the link for that. And I'm going to share. You guys will be blown away. I don't say that unless you're going to be. So hold on. I'm going to share. We've got I can do at least 3 minutes worth. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share that on the screen. And I put the affiliate link in there for Blooxy. That'll connect you with our academy, so they'll know, oh, that they came in with Transformation Writers Academy. Okay, here's Blooxy. Now here's the interesting part about this. 4 years ago, or 5 years ago now, COVID, December of that year, I held my first Transformational Writers Conference in Atlanta, and then, remotely for people around the world. And one of my speakers, who was also one of my writers coaches, was putting together a program to help writers to make it easier. And he had a name, Blooxy. He was toying with it. He introduced it to us that December. And in the following December, when we held our annual conference in Puerto Rico, he came, he spoke, he introduced it. So this is Blooxy. And I tell you, I haven't seen nothing like it. So it has a creative writer component. So whether you're writing memoirs, fiction, self-help, poetry, and more, you would go under that avenue. It has an academic component for dissertation, academic articles. Usually professors, scientists, healthcare providers, we have to do articles. And then it has a component for K through 12, parents and English learning language and educators. So how easy to use? I'm going to click Explore. It requires you to sign up or log in. And I think you get a 7-day trial with it. So if I just hit write a book, because it knows my login, it's going to, well, maybe it doesn't. There it does. All right. So then it's got to ignore all of that, but it's going to give you this. Are you all seeing the same screen that I'm seeing with nonfiction, poetry, and so forth?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you decided, hey, I'm doing nonfiction, poetry, fiction, academic articles. And in this case, I'd go with nonfiction because that's what I'm choosing. And then it automatically populates my first name because when I logged in and created a login, that's what my name was. So don't go by your first initial when you're creating a login because it needs your name. And then if I had a subtitle, Dana's nonfiction books, adventures through writing. Okay. And then it automatically places my name. I can change it if I want to put initial or something. And it's just as easy as that. I hit create and it creates the framework for your book. And you're like,
Wow.
wait a minute. I told you you're going to be blown away. And okay, time-wise, I got 2 more minutes to talk about it and 1 minute for questions. All right. So now it gives you, the book is divided into 3 parts, your front matter, your book itself, I call it middle matter, and your back matter, but all of it matters. So it automatically sets up a title based on what I typed. Can you change it? Yes. This is just my working title to demonstrate. And then it sets up all the details you need for copyright. And then once you already get your, the date of your copyright, your ISBN number, you type that in there. And if someone's designed your cover, you type that in there. It helps. It's already set out for you. I see you over there, Michael. You're like, what? Yes. It gives you guidance on how to do a dedication if you choose to do it. And if you don't want to do it and you're like, I want to get rid of that dedication, I don't need to do that. You hit edit and you can delete it here. Okay. When you're done, hit done. Tables of content. As you are writing your book, it adds each chapter. So it already automatically starts out with this front matter, your acknowledgement, your forward, your preface, introduction, and then a chapter. So this here is the only 1 chapter here. So now I know I'm going to have more than 1 chapter. I go to the upper left-hand side, I hit add. I know I'm going to have 7 chapters for my book. So I just put 7, 3, 6, 7. And so I'm in the first chapter. I haven't given it a title yet, but can somebody give me a title for my first adventure in writing? I'll type it.
Hand holding the newbies.
Say that again, Marissa.
Hand holding the newbies.
Hand holding the newbies. That's what I heard. So hopefully that's what you said.
Yeah.
And then, so, you still have the ability to type when starting your writing journey. This is me starting my chapter. And then I go, oh, I don't even know what else to write after that. Okay, so how about I go to Avon, my AI. I'm going to scooch over here and click to the right. I'm going to click on Avon and try Avon. And then the topic is on nonfiction, the journey of writing, learning the art of writing. Let's just go with that. The art of writing. So I put that as a topic, helping new writers in the writing process. My mind's going faster than my hand. And if I had some keywords, newbies, novice writers, something like that, and I click use Avon, and hopefully you're all seeing this, and it takes about 30 seconds, it's going to pull up about 5 options. And the more information you put in, the more you can get out. So just know that. But this is how I utilize artificial intelligence within the Blooxy system. And it's going to pop out information on the right, and it's going to give it to me like sections. If I like the section, I will heart it. And as I heart it, it'll move it on back to the chapter I was working on. Not in the chapter, but on the side, because I've got notes on the side. And it looks like this one might take a few more seconds. Here we go. The novice path to mastery, igniting to create spark. For many of us, beginning the journey into the world of writing feels akin to stepping into an unfamiliar path. The path is often obscured. If I like that, right, I just do a heart. Where is my heart? Normally it's right there. And then oh, that's the whole section. That's why. So I'll just put that section, and then the alchemy of writing, a guide to novice writing. I like that title already. And just for the sake of time, I would have already read it through before I saved it. I don't like result 3. I'm not going to use it. I go down and see that that's the last result. But if I want more, I hit create more. All right. So I close that out. And I go over here, and you see on the right-hand section, the chapter's still in the middle. The right hand is like my notes and AI information. If I want to see it, I now will read that and get some inspiration to continue writing my chapter. Yeah, I know, right? And then Melissa, you know how we were talking about bullet points, like if you're going to write and you don't really have a lot to write that morning, but you might just do some note. So I would say writer's blog, where to start, content, writer's blog, and then things like that. So I know these notes are saying, come back and at least address this in this chapter. And guess what? This is the best part. And then you're like, do you mean we didn't get to the best part already? Nope. It transcribes for you from voice. It's voice text activated. Yep. So all I'd have to do is hit start recording, share my story about writing in the 4th grade in my creative writing class, and how I became an editor of the school newspaper in high school and in college. And I hit stop recording. So now I may not get that word right because it's got to start recognizing your word. So I said, so share my story, right? And it typed it there. So I can type text and I can copy from here and put it over in my chapter. But this is a reminder for me to share the story. If I wanted to tell the story, I can do the same thing. All right. So I said the last minute was for questions. So any comments or questions?
Thank you so much. That's fantastic.
You are welcome. So for those who are listening, it's Blooxy, Blooksy. And then you actually just type this in the chat instead of Blooxy, because if you type it just direct, it doesn't connect you with us. You type HTTPS, /backspace, L as in Lima, DDY, N as in Nancy, O, /1 DJN3. Okay. And I guess we'll put it also on our LinkedIn page. Thank you, each of you, for coming. And last thing I wanted to share is that we're doing a business anthology, and it's going to be a miniature MBA. And we're starting that this month. And if you all want to be contributors to that, as we do have a few global chamber members, and we're going to get some Thunderbird professors on board, reach out and let me know. I want to thank you. Next month, Marissa's going to be one of our panelists along with her siblings. So come next month, it's going to be at 8 p.m. Your day would have been finished. You'll be in the right position to receive this incredible exchange and engagement. Thank you, guys, and look forward to seeing you then.
Thanks, Dana. That was fantastic. See you soon.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks, Jim.